Hello and welcome to another update video on Bitcoin. I'm here on the daily chart. We looked at it yesterday, and I think it's a good refresher. It's good for context to understand what we're dealing with here on this chart. Currently, the focus is on the smaller time frame on exactly this zone here, where you can find the green circle. This is the zone we are watching very, very closely on the smaller time frame charts. The price has given us a small bounce yesterday from this first structural support line that you find here highlighted in red on the chart. Oops, at around 107,000, $107,500, $107,400. It's not always exactly one level. It's more like a zone around such a level. Yeah, but price has given us a first bounce. We're currently holding there. I explained to you why yesterday. First of all, it's the previous swing low. In addition to that, what I could identify is here with the VRVP indicator that this is obviously now the area where the chop could start, okay, which means price might spend some time in this range as here, you know, in this area between May and July, price could just spend some time in this range here, for example, yeah. Again, and that might actually be this B wave we're watching for, yeah. Now, I know a lot of people hope for another high, and I'd like to see that as well. Always looking forward to rising prices, of course. But I explained yesterday why a larger correction might not necessarily be a major problem. Well, it could be for many altcoins. I'm not going to lie. It could be for many altcoins which are still showing some bullish setups. A lot of them can handle a deeper pullback. It wouldn't be a disaster. However, it would invalidate most likely many of the local setups we're watching for, or observing currently in the altcoin sector. Here on the Bitcoin daily time frame, though, what I can identify is an immediate correction, which I'm labeling currently as an ABC structure. There's no sign it's over, but we've obviously seen a small bounce. But again, we discussed that on the smaller time frame. I think what I wanted to explain here again on the daily chart is where the chop could start and where the downtrend could slow down, and the VRVP shows us where that could be. Basically here around these levels. We also have some additional Fibonacci support levels at $106,510 and $101,569. Look, what we also have here is a confluence between two Fibonacci zones around 102K, I would say. 101.6 to 102K. It's basically nothing in crypto, but that's from a macro point of view where a couple of levels align. In addition to that, so let's say this upper support area, right, which ends at 101,570. Look, this is a correction that could be a wave 4 and give us one more high, which I'd still like to see, but I'm not going to lie, probabilities for that have reduced a little bit over the last few days with price action that we've seen, which opened the door to a deeper correction, right? And again, it's nothing is confirmed yet, but it's about understanding what the microstructures do, the signs we're getting, signals we're getting, and then interpreting that, and based on that, mapping out probable pathways, just to be prepared, yeah? Don't see these as absolute predictions here. But what I want to highlight is we have an upper support area. As long as we're holding the 101,560 level, one more high is possible. In a broader correction, we could also be dealing here with a broader wave 2 correction, for example. And that's why I'm saying, look, if we get this immediate correction, which started on the 14th of August, if we get that one complete, and the rally afterwards is not impulsive, but it's simply a corrective bounce, well, it could simply be a B wave bounce and we get another leg down. So like an ABC structure there in a larger correction, basically. Yeah. And that would not necessarily be a problem because this could be a 1-2 setup. You see? That would be bullish, and it could even take us to 150K and beyond. Now, at this point, this might be more like hopium, but I'm showing you pathways and key pivots. So this one is the first one. The next one will be here around, possibly around 96K, 90K. We can specify that further as we go along. But we haven't even broken the upper support. So let's stay grounded here. But I need to highlight to you what the next key pivots are. It's all about understanding the roadmap here early enough before things break. Yeah. Now let's also take a look at the shorter time frame. Not much going on there. Over the weekend, the idea was that we might see a bit of a bounce here in wave 2. I mean, that was on the chart, that was said in the videos. We've started to see a bit of a bounce, but again, it's a weak bounce so far. Why did we expect a bounce? Well, on the 1 hour chart, it was oversold, so it's just using good old indicators. 1 hour chart oversold. After such a drop into the Friday lows, often you see a bit of recovery on Saturday. The wave count allows for the interpretation it could be a wave 2 bounce here. And so my idea is this is going to be, or this is likely a corrective bounce. At the moment, it is corrective in nature. It looks choppy, messy, overlapping to the upside, yeah? So this kind of confirms at the moment my perspective. It could really be a corrective bounce. It's weak. We haven't broken above any resistance. And the first resistance area that I'm watching is located here between 109,674 and $112,173. This is simply the first key resistance area there to watch, which hasn't even been tested. Yeah, we haven't even reached it. So the idea would be that maybe over the weekend we get there, form a slightly broader wave 2. Obviously, any further downside means that this wave 1 seems to extend, which wouldn't be great because then it increases probabilities further that upper support will likely break there, yeah, around 101,500. Because if this wave 1 extends further, then the wave 2 would happen later, and it shifts everything down. At the same time, I'm going to watch for alternative scenarios, of course, but for now, I can tell you that there's no evidence that this overall correction is over, okay? So the bounce is kind of unfolding. It's weak, but again, it wasn't expected to be necessarily strong on a Labor Day weekend. Please note and remember that tomorrow's stock market is closed, yeah? So tomorrow the stock market will be closed because it's public holiday in the US. So I don't necessarily expect wild movements. There could be some fluctuations around the weekly candle close, but when the futures open, I believe they are running tomorrow. When the futures open, they probably won't do any wild things, I guess. Maybe tomorrow then, right? But not overnight, given that it's public holiday tomorrow. But we'll see. There might be some small movements. Overall, a quiet weekend. So I've been focusing on some other indicators, macro stuff that are posted over the weekend. So keep going with that. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Quick reminder, today we've got our member live stream at 5 p.m. UTC. We're running that every Sunday. And so there's an opportunity to enter discussions. I'm answering all the questions. There are typically lots of coins we're covering, charts, and so on. So typically around 30 to 40 additional charts and coins are typically covered in the member live streams. So if you want to join today, feel free to join our membership. It's going to happen every Sunday. Yeah. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.